Wild Tchoupitoulas is how I believe you say it, were a New Orleans R&B funk band that comprised of many different members, including people of the Meters. We also had Alan Toussaint involved in this, and the Neville Brothers, as well as other members too. I believe they were a pretty large collective overall. They were pretty pivotal in the New Orleans R&B movement, which really helped shape a lot of genres in the future. The really cool blend of like funk, soul, jazz, and many other things, as well as like, you know, traditional genres as well from like African movements in the 60s, 70s, even earlier than that, the 50s and even 40s. This was a sound that kept developing and developing over time, and it isn't really talked about that much these days. When I look at some artists in the New Orleans R&B genre, I can't really say there's a huge amount of them that people still bring up in conversation today. I mean, sure, they were influenced by other things too, but you know, I'm surprised that this is not a cult classic that it should be, because it's pretty fantastic. And you guys know this is exactly why I do this series, and this is one of the oldest albums in this series, actually, 1976. I'm not sure if I've gone further back than that yet, but if I haven't, then yeah, this is actually the oldest. What you notice straight away is just how uplifting all of this is. It's instantaneously joyous, fresh, and just puts you in the best kind of mood, because you know why? You can just hear somehow, I don't know how this is a thing, but you can just hear them all smiling as they're singing along to these tracks. There is not a one moment where anyone sounds like they're, you know, fed up, they're bored. Everyone just sounds like they're having a great time, and I love that when I listen to music. You can't tell me that Brother John isn't just the most smile-inducing gospel groove-heavy track you've ever heard. I mean, gospel and groove-heavy aren't really words that go together very often, to be honest, but this track manages to combine those things, instantaneously taking us to church. Brother, brother. There's a dub reggae influence on the next track, Meet the Boys on the Battlefront, which I enjoy the titles of many of these tracks, honestly. I kind of have a little chuckle to myself whenever they repeat the refrains, because they're always just so random. But I like the way this track takes a completely different direction, and yet nothing really sounds out of place. They don't sound like they don't know what they're doing, because I think with how talented all of these musicians are that are coming together here, it just sounds like something that couldn't fail. They take classic rock and roll tropes on some of these tracks too. Here They Come, definitely one of the best examples of that. They just level it up though with their energy, thinking of like the classic rock and roll that you instantaneously think of at the top of your head. Thinking of something like, I don't know, maybe Chuck Berry, just think of something like that, but just add that kind of soulful vibe to it, that really lively energy, and this is what you get. Indian Red might be my favourite track here though. Many of these tracks do a similar thing with the way that they take the call and response idea. You know, someone says something, they respond back with a similar thing, or maybe the exact same line. Once again, another trope that was used in like early African genres. I mean, it was used across the world really, but it ended up kind of springing to life in more African American styles of music. It's probably the most uplifting track. I feel like it's a very summery, just vibrant sound that I think is fantastic. And then somehow later on in the track, it gets even better when they shift into this like dance section, which is so out of nowhere. It's like the most strangest beat switch you'd hear. It's like, I don't even know if I want to say it's seamless, because it kind of isn't. It kind of just jerks into it and you're just like, yeah. Really warrants its runtime. Like, we're talking like 7, nearing 8 minutes here, and nothing is wasted. What a song. Big Chief Got a Golden Crown, one of the other examples of their hooks that are just so random. What a weird thing to say, but I think it's great. I just think, where else are you going to hear someone sing on a chorus, Big Chief Got a Golden Crown? You ain't gonna find that. But it's also very endearing in a strange way. The best example of that as well is probably Hey Pokey Away. There's just something about the way they're all kind of like joining together and singing so harmoniously just kind of like random words at times. It feels, it's not random, but it feels like that in certain places. And yeah, it just has this endearing ability to it, like, well, endearing sensibility to it, should I say, that I just fall in love with. It's really hard not to fall in love with a lot of what they're doing. Then you've got the funkier side of what they're doing on Hey Mama. This one reminds me a lot of Funkadelic, and they probably took influence from bands like this, I feel, because again, it's of that era. It was only a few years after Funkadelic's Maggot Brain, which obviously was such a successful album of the genre. And funk was already at its peak in this era too. So I do think they took lots of influences from different things and really brought it together and turned it into an album that's very special. Like, there aren't many albums that sound like this, and that's why it had to be highlighted in this series. Once again, highlighting a genre that just isn't talked about half as much as it should be, especially amongst the music nerds or whatever. But definitely one that you'd play and you'd understand why I'm highlighting it here, because it is just so great. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you have a good day as well. Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments if you have heard this. If you haven't listened to it, then come back to me and tell me what you think. Subscribe if you haven't already. That would be great. Goodbye. Have a good day, and goodbye.